Good evening, pallets and mercs. Today we're going to be reacting to TED Talks Battletech, the Urbanmech Director's Cut. Now I know what you're going to say. Annika, where's the Black Knight? Why are we doing the Urbanmech first? The reason is it's an hour and a half. And this is being recorded like 2.5 hours before I go live today, so by the time it's all said and done, it's probably going to take about 3 hours, give or take, to get that video out. So yeah, we're doing the Urbanmech first. So with that said, go ahead, get your snacks, get your drinks, and let's roll the film. TED Talks Battletech, the Urbanmech Director's Cut. Let's get it. I'm going to go ahead and rewind here. Should probably move that over here, huh? And we'll go ahead and give it a like, because they put a lot of work into this. I love how they're showing all these mechs. Is that a griffin? I'm pretty sure that's a griffin. God, the production value is insane. Is that Krinsky? I think it might be. Hunchback representation, let's see it. There it is, star of the show, the Urbanmech. I love how he's casually just flipping people. TED Talks Battletech, the Urbanmech. I am very much looking forward to this one. And just to be clear, I don't plan to pause anywhere through this. This is already going to be like an hour and a half, or hour and a half. Roughly December 24th-ish. God, this... I gotta say, whoever's doing their animations for this is just... It's so good.
Good evening, class. And please take your seats, as by popular request of the student body.
Okay. I love the buttery smooth voice as well.
Friend just in time for the holidays.
This is after the holidays, but still really cool. Preamble.
My earlier description of this popular platform was certainly more succinct, non-serious in tone, and indeed,
I mean, it was like
very
7
much
years ago,
limited
too.
by the resources I possessed at that time. And thanks to your continued
Yeah, things
support,
have changed quite a bit,
I
it
feel I would
seems.
be remiss if I did not look back and offer one last take for the sake of history. So tonight, we dive deep to discuss the glorious nonsense that is the Urbanmech.
Urby is definitely an interesting platform. I've still managed to use it in
The road to
very
the Urbanmech
interesting ways.
involves the death of 2 Camerons, the decisions of a 3rd, and ultimately the influence of an Amaris, which results in an era
I feel like
marked
there was a
by
joke there that I
distrust,
missed, but
dysfunction, and even limited disarmament. When Nicholas Cameron died at the age of 93, he left a Star League considered by many to be at the height of its golden years. His reign had been
okay, this gives me a little bit better time
mostly
frame.
wise.
Also,
and
all
marked
my
by many
everybody,
technological and
the
scientific
homies hate this
advancements
Igor
which shaped
nonsense.
the inner sphere for centuries. By the end of his stewardship, the Star League had a unified currency, a functional HPG network, and thanks to technical marvels like the Jamerson-Ulikov water purification system and his further insistence it not be a controlled technology, the inner sphere would settle an additional 1,000 worlds before the year 2700.
Sounds like everything's going pretty good.
At the age of 93, his chosen heir would be his grandson, Michael Cameron, who was barely 27 at the time. The
That's
transfer
a
of
lot of
power
responsibility.
from a wise and benevolent ruler to such an unproven one marks the beginning of earnest trouble for the Star League. And to fully understand why, we must address the generational gap of rulership in the Cameron line. Michael Cameron's father was Joseph Cameron II, who, despite a promising upbringing, was a deeply flawed man, so embroiled in controversy that he was denied his
you definitely
right
want to skip
rule
that.
the dynasty.
I don't know if switching to somebody that young is going to work out either.
Devious and deceptive man, all the while projecting
Okay,
the
so
mask
basically you
of
got
a
Loki
suave
over
and
here.
courteous military
Gotcha.
officer. This mask protected him for a time, as despite multiple scandals, he actually ascended the ranks of the SLDF, making colonel by his 29th birthday, and earning the command
Quite impressive,
of an
actually.
entire royal regiment. He even managed to convince his father, the already legendary Nicholas Cameron, that he was worthy enough to be the Director General of the Terran hegemony. But it was not enough for Joseph Cameron, who indeed desired more. In 2641,
it's always a
allegations
great
of
day when
bribery and
politics
kickbacks
get
in order to secure
kicked off.
lucrative government contracts surfaced, which Joseph publicly denied. It was the sudden death of an investigative reporter, one who held potentially damning evidence regarding his case, that finally ended his political aspirations. As a result of this controversy, Nicholas Cameron stripped Joseph of his many titles, and then quietly reactivated his commission in the regular army before discreetly shipping him off to a wargame planning commission. And there, during a routine training exercise, an accident killed Joseph Cameron, which was for him quite fortunate, as the mountain of damning evidence produced during the investigation was likely leading to his inevitable arrest. While some had initially considered the Cameron dynasty as a godsend for humanity, with Nicholas Cameron's reign
this is definitely a stain on
its care, the failings
the
of
legacy.
Joseph Cameron II and his downfall marks the turning point of what many feel are the final good years of the Star League. And with a new and untested Michael Cameron on the throne, things seemed perilously uncertain. And then there was an Amaris
we'll see,
to worry
we'll see.
about. Specifically to Deo Amaris, leader of the Rimworld Star League
I'm not really versed in
territorial
politics,
state, who was
so if
decidedly
I go
expanding
silent a
his
little bit,
personal
that's kind of
army
why.
for
This ain't my
surely personal
territory.
reasons. This was materially fueled by the Draconis Combine.
The fact
who
that he's
felt
going
the
over all this
succession
history
of a
just to
new
get to
and
the
unproven
Urbanmech
First
is
Lord
crazy.
was just the time to begin
We haven't
tipping
even
the scales
touched
of power.
any of the
And
Urbanmechs
so
yet.
tested, Michael Cameron made his will fully known by issuing Directive 30 shortly thereafter.
Fuck around and find
or as
out
it would
act.
be called in time,
God, I'm not
Council
political,
Edict
but that's
of
the kind of act I
2650.
can get
This
behind.
edict enforced an immediate limitation on the arms allowed to each and every member state of the Star League. The reason for this was plain.
I don't know about
as the
that.
Star League could ill afford another reunification war. In short, peace was in everyone's interest. And for a time, it seemed that most states intended to comply by slowly dismantling their vast Battletech forces to instead quietly strengthen their militias and reserves, waiting for perhaps another opportunity to test the resolve of the Cameron dynasty. It is against this
I'm
backdrop
thinking
of
that's
very
the
uncertain
case.
times,
So I wonder if the
distrust and
Urbanmech.
disarmament that the humble Urbanmech was born.
Okay, here we go. I
With
was
a
wondering where all
high-pressure
this went.
atmosphere, higher than standard Terran gravity, and an abundance of radioactive material, Marcus was a world principally operated as an industrial site for the Terran hegemony, and Orguss Industries was a manufacturer who had made Marcus their home.
This looks like a
In most
Unity
cases, a successful
trailer
mech
for like a
manufacturer
Mech
begins
Warrior
with
game.
individual systems components or Battletech parts, before then moving on to design something like an entire
Yeah, this looks like
Battletech
a
from the ground up.
pre-render. Like,
Orguss, which had zero Battletech experience prior to
That
the
is so
Urbi,
cool.
instead went all in from the very beginning. And stranger still, they would build nothing but the Urbanmech and parts for it, seemingly content to never diversify their portfolio. Thus, Orguss is an anomaly among inner-sphere mech manufacturers, and joins Wells Tech as one of those least likely to succeed.
I feel like
For
it's
the
one of those
Urbanmech
things
was
that
not
you take a
engineered
risk
to be
and
a
it
peerless
actually pans
product,
out.
but rather simple in purpose and incredibly cheap, in order to better serve the demands
Yeah,
of
this
a
is like the
peacetime military,
Honda
now
of
in an
mechs.
uncertain phase of disarmament.
If you can't afford anything
Their
else,
design began with an
an
easily
Urbanmech will
mass-manufactured
get the
chassis
job done.
and incorporated inexpensive and uncomplex components which they had mostly licensed. The armor is 6 tons of Duralex, which, while not advanced, is plenty for a light battle mech. They gave it an incredibly modest but reliable Linux 60 engine, which makes the Urbanmech the slowest light mech in existence, with a redline top speed of only 32.4 kph.
It hits one of the 3 things on the triangle.
Is not your typical
Firepower
battle mech,
most of the time.
as it is by namesake a city fighter, where height and positioning advantages mean more than speed.
Yes,
so they installed a
it is
pair of
literally
pit-van
designed to
jump jets
hide
in order
behind
to
something
enhance its
fire.
mobility. Built for the tight confines of a city fight, the exterior of the Urbanmech is designed to minimize its profile, with arms barely large enough to house the weapons it carries, an AC-10, and a single small laser. The Urbanmech design can rotate its upper torso a full
anti-pigeon laser
360 degrees, which is an enormous benefit in close quarters battle, as it does not need to turn in order to engage a target. And
yeah,
so
the
built,
cockpit goes 360.
The Urbanmech is designed to hit and fade within a city, where rapid maneuvering is inadvisable, if not factually impossible. At 1.4 million C-bills on the common market, this mech has always
that's
been
the price of
extremely
like
affordable, and
like
has since served
that's
as a
like
useful
the price of some of the
comparative
weapons
tool
that
for mech
I get off
pricing
the market.
indexes.
That is crazy. The little liability that could.
While widely dismissed by many in the world of military affairs, the Urbanmech is an efficient killer in its native environment.
It definitely
Urbanmech
is.
Lance in a city fight will split their forces and then coordinate successive relentless attacks in order to ambush opponents from multiple pre-planned vantage points. Once the invaders begin to push back, the Urbies will then bound away on jump jets, retreating to secondary ambush points in order to keep the party going. Properly utilized and supported, an Urbanmech is more
I could
than
definitely
capable
see
of stopping
where
fast forces,
some of these people
or at
could
least
definitely get away
tying
with
them up until
Urbanmechs.
reinforcements arrive.
And they're so cheap that it doesn't
During
matter
the
if one of them
twilight
gets
years
hit.
of the Star League, the Urbanmech was used as a measure of control to suppress riots and insurrection movements, as it had enough armor and firepower to hold its own in these limited theaters of engagement. However, it is of note that as the Star League fell, some of the very last defenders to resist against Samaris's onslaught and the subsequent collapse of the state were frequently isolated Urbanmech units, bravely attempting to hold while the world burned around them.
That is...
Let Spirit Blossom Ari charm you with his new limited edition.
You know what? We don't necessarily have honor amongst mercs,
surviving
but
Star League Urbanmechs
I can definitely appreciate
into
that.
the stockpiles of the successor states, who, while frequently desperate for mechs, often dismissed the little Urbie as nothing more than a battlefield liability. To most at that time,
see, I don't
Urbanmech stood
dismiss
as a
the thing
reminder
anymore.
of a stagnant and serenely unaware Star League now collapsed under the horrific weight of its own hubris. As such, many inherited second-hand Urbanmechs were indeed scrapped for parts, or left to rot in boneyards as more desirable Star League-era designs were prioritized for immediate warfighting use. But beggars can't be choosers, and desperate for operational battle mechs of any description, the Capellan Confederation put their Urbanmechs on the front lines until better material was available. While
I mean,
many
that's
other
the Compellans
forces
for you.
did
They will
eventually,
fight
by
with
desperate requirements in
they
the
will fight
Urbanmech
with a
war,
spork if you were
the
to give it to them.
CCAF's reliance on the platform, and through their dedicated support of it, ensured the Urbie not only survived the succession wars, but soon enough began to appear in the historical record as a notable battle mech. In 2862, Merrick's 4th Regulan Hussars raided Carver 5, trying to grab a reported stash of Atlas and Victor parts supposedly stockpiled there. Defending the planet
What
was
they
a single
found was
battalion of Lothar's Fusiliers,
Urbanmechs?
a regiment of the somewhat famous Chesterton Reserves.
I mean, the
Supported by armor, artillery, and
Fusiliers
infantry,
are pretty
the Urbanmechs
noteworthy.
of Lothar's Fusiliers engaged the Merrick forces with pop-up fire, before fading back into the city for cover. Repeated Urbanmech ambushes bogged the Merrick forces
You gotta
down,
love a good
and
Urban
soon
Mech.
enough,
Like
they began to lose their inertia.
I am surprised they
The Merrick
survived
forces
the
then had to commit a marauder campaign
Succession
in order
Wars,
to take
though.
the city. While the Urbanmechs did not win that
like
fight,
they're good.
they greatly
They're just-
slowed the invaders down.
just slow
And as a
most of the
result,
time.
Merrick forces made off with perilously little, as reinforcements soon arrived to chase them off. But to better separate fact from fiction about the humble Urbanmech, let us examine
The
what
fact
makes
that they're
it
going
work.
up against like medium mechs is crazy, though. What is this? Type in
The
Urban.
UMR-60 is the base model Urbanmech. It has an AC-10, 11 heat sinks, a tiny engine, 6 tons of armor, 2 jump jets, and a small laser. All
I mean, it
core
definitely
components
works
are
for most
simple
battlefields, though.
and
The
possess
AC-10 is
modest
nothing to
maintenance
scoff at.
requirements. The base model is a 30-ton platform, which is surprisingly easy to modify.
The
and thus
OG
leads to a number
adorable
of interesting variations.
Rhymes mascot.
It has enough ammunition for about 2 minutes of rock and roll, which is a generous way of saying the company never intended for this thing to go to war, let alone survive 4 nuclear ones. The UMR-27 is an Urbanmech variant using the basis of the UMR-60, but changes things up. By dropping a heatsink in the base model
3
weapons.
SRM6s.
This model has instead 3 SRM6s supplanted
That's
by actuator
crazy.
enhancements for additional accuracy potential.
I would
It
unironically
also has
field
case
this little
protection
thing.
for the ammunition.
Intended
and allows for the
surprise
Urbanmech
missiles.
to serve as a point-blank missile plow. The UMR-60L
That is a
an
shotgun.
interesting take on the Urbanmech, which transforms the little Urby into a giant killer. It strips 2
5
tons of armor
shots.
and
That's
replaces
it.
the AC-10 with an AC-20. With very limited ammunition, this Urbanmech is a point-blank surprise party, which waits
Yes,
for
it
larger
is.
mechs and then introduces them to the ground. If it survives, that is.
I
The
mean, it just
UMR-63
needs to land a
is
hit. That's
reasonable
really
upgrade
about
kit for the
it.
Capellan Confederation's many fielded Urbanmechs. It replaces the signature AC-10 with an LBX version for shotgunning the entire street, and then adds a small pulse laser
I could
to mop
actually
up
see that
remaining
working.
infantry. This upgrade
Like, even
is
on
saner
some
than
mechs, you can
most,
get away with that.
as it improves the Urbanmech's capabilities without sacrificing performance or even survivability.
I wonder how many shots you get
The
with that, though.
UMR-68 is a Draconis Combine take on the Urbanmech, which does away with the trademark autocannon, and instead replaces
And
it
MR
with an MRM-30.
30
This
has,
model still keeps the 2 small lasers of the R-63.
I think that could
as
work.
the MRM-30
All
is
the
unsuited
missiles.
to dispatching
Yes.
occasional infantry
Planners go
without
home.
destroying the entire city block in the process. The R-68 was predominantly fielded during the Combine Dominion War, and while the war was largely a stalemate, the UMR-68 served throughout.
I could actually see
and was
that
very
working.
frequently a nasty surprise for the many clanners who thought the little liability had no teeth. The UMR-69
Oh, it can
upgrades
definitely
the
have
autocannon
teeth,
to
it
an
just-
ultra autocannon and the small laser to an extended range one. It also featured ferrofibrous armor and 5 whole tons of it at the cost of a single heatsink. This Urbanmech is a damn fine upgrade of the base model. But it
This
eats
actually
through
sounds like
ammunition
it,
at a
it
much
could actually
faster
be a
rate,
solid,
and therefore suffers from combat endurance issues. For this reason alone,
like it would actually be
it
a
is not very
competent
popular.
small to
The
medium range battle
UMR-70
mech.
is a Fed Sons upgrade, centered around the autocannon. Then again,
Intended
it's House
purpose.
Davion,
Hello,
so
my name
that
is
was always
Burr.
expected. The
Yeah,
R-70 has ferrofibrous armor like
Yeah,
the
the
R-69,
autocannon do go Burr,
but
though.
replaces the AC-10 with the rotary autocannon 5, which then has 2 tons of ammunition. which is nowhere near enough to feed a rotary autocannon. The Rack 5 allows the little Urby
again,
to shoot
these
a
are
great many
designed
things
for
in a very brief
small,
period of time
small engagements.
until the
That's
autocannon
really about it.
jams or it inevitably clicks empty. But in that case, it also carries an ER medium laser in addition to the standard small
The
laser
medium laser
as
actually
reliable
could.
backup options. The UMR-80
I could see
is
that
a
working.
recent development carrying a snub-nose PPC, a small pulse laser,
This
tag,
thing,
and a Beagle active probe.
this thing
while still
actually would
retaining
be
the original
pretty
version's small
scary.
laser. It has improved
Snub-nose
jump jets
PPC is
and
nothing to
is
scoff at.
established
Like,
as a
this is
highly
almost like
advanced,
Panther material here.
short-range urban warfare platform, well suited to hunting
The
down
Urbanmech you're
enemy
actually
strike
scared
teams.
of. I don't
With a
know, an
fully
AC-20 can
dedicated
definitely
ECM
put you on your
suite,
toes.
Good luck hitting it as it ducks between alleyways on its way to finding your kneecaps. The UMR-90 is called the Urbanmech and was created by none other than Hans
This
Davion
thing is
himself,
the
who
thing I
decided to
feel
do
most
away with the
often.
autocannon and gave the Urbanmech a larger engine, so this Urbanmech can bumble along at 54 kph. It is armed with a single PPC backed up by 2 medium lasers. However, it only has 13 heat sinks and thus does run very hot.
It does, but you could actually...
UMA-4 is the single craziest version of the Urbanmech. It crams an Arrow
Grid
4
square
artillery platform
remover.
and an ER medium laser into the 30-ton frame.
This thing
by
is
replacing
my
the
favorite
internals
right
with
here.
endo-steel
This
and
one
then
is the one that I
squeezing
run
the cockpit into whatever space
a
remains.
lot. I tend to run
While
this
it
thing
carries
quite
only
a
10
bit.
rounds of ammunition, this Urbanmech is still incredibly lethal.
I'm glad to
and is
see this thing is
provably
actually
capable
canon.
of deploying nuclear Arrow 4 missiles. This Urbanmech can quickly escalate a limited engagement into a theater-wide problem. For cry havoc and let slip the Arrow
Now
4.
I'm everybody's problem.
These are
exactly.
just a few models of note in historical production. And many more one-off variants of the machine still haunt battlefields to this day, incorporating any number
I need
of
to
bizarre
run
design
like an
choices and
Urbanmech
unholy
only
weapon loadouts. Despite military leaders
Lance, like, this is
continually
so
regarding
cool.
the Urby as nothing more than a liability, people do indeed love this thing. And stranger still, that love is not limited to the inner sphere, as there is a clan version.
Ooh. What did the clan do to this thing? What is
During
the
clan's
IIC
own
version?
golden century, Clan Coyote worked their space magic in order to develop Omni technology, leading to a number of mech designs which could be rapidly reconfigured into numerous deadly variations of a theme. In their research, they ardently pored over centuries of battle data as far back as the American-Civil War in order to seek guidance on the best path forward. In their extensive study of historical designs, they happened upon the Urbanmech and, seemingly inspired by it, immediately went to work.
They're inspired by the little one.
Urbanmech 2C serves in the same role as its inner sphere cousin, though it boasts many upgrades. It can amble up to 54 kph, and it
Proving
carries
that the
an
clanners are not
ultra-autocannon
immune to
10
loving the
and
Urby.
an ER small laser. The targeting and tracking systems are clan tech and thus very good, but the rest of the machine is largely
So it sounds like they made a
unchanged from the original
competent,
design.
like really
Clan
good
Coyote
Urbanmech.
again. The inventors of Omni-Tech field the largest numbers of the Urbanmech 2C, and the mech is also operated
I wonder
by
how much
Clan
ammo you're going to get
Snow
with that
Ice
Ultra
Hellion,
AC-10.
Hell's
though.
Horses, and Goliath's Scorpion. With all of the choices available to them in advanced firepower and technology, it is curious that they too venerate the Urbanmech. To understand why, we must examine what we know of its combat history among them. When the
Yeah, I'm very
Urbanmech 2C
curious to see
was
how much
new,
ammo.
as is the Clanner way, it faced trial by combat. Clan Burrick had attempted to raid Clan Coyote on Tamaron, and while certainly surprised, the 18th Assault Cluster of Coyote's Lambda Galaxy challenged the Burrick raiding party to honorable combat. Driven by competent pilots and operating in its native environment, a city, the Urbanmech 2C turned the tide versus the raiding party.
Oh no,
Who left
the
in a damn
Urbanmech
hurry. likely
The Urbanmech
confused
turned
as
the
to what
tide.
the hell just happened. And naturally,
They got
once word
surprised by
got
the
out,
streets.
many clanners began desiring the Urbanmech 2C for themselves. And
Yes,
so,
we're going to need
even
a
among
lot of these.
Kerensky's descendants, the Urbanmech is a modest legend. As for the greater historical impact of the Urbanmech, we must now examine those brave few who made it work so very well. Gordon Stewart served with the Lothar Fusiliers as part of the sometimes effective Chesterton Reserves.
Sometimes
which, during the
effective. That
closing
is
phases
crazy.
Of the Third Succession
That
War,
is crazy
saw
that you're just
intense
gonna
combat along
do 'em
the
like
border
that.
with House Davion.
Gallant.
Stewart is an interesting specimen of the Capellan Pilot Corps, as while utterly loyal and devoted to the Capellan state, he repeatedly refused promotions in order to remain with his lance, which was dedicated to urban defense
that is cool.
and naturally piloted the Urbanmech. While a small cog in the overall affairs of the Capellan military, Gordon was a notable person, as unlike many in his place, he frequently and openly spoke his mind. He didn't trust the Curetans,
that's probably why
and when the Capellan state
that's
deemed
why
them an
he
ally,
refused
he upset
promotions.
his chain of command by continuing to openly preach his contempt for the dragon. For the sin of having too much to think, his commanders decided to assign his unit to flashpoints along the Free Worlds League border in order to dramatically shorten his career. And despite this, Stewart and his Urbanmech survived. Stewart's mindset
lucky
proved to be
Irby
nearly prophetic, as the
saved
Draconis
Stewart quite
Combine
a
did
bit.
not arrive to help the Confederation
We'd love to see that.
during
Ooh,
the opening phases of the
hope that's
Fourth
not my end.
Succession War, where the Federated Sons took a chunk out of the Capellan state. Bitter but unbroken, Stewart and many of his fellow
think that was part of the
Urbanmech
DLC
pilots
for MechWarrior
left
5.
the Confederation and then joined the First Republican Guards of the Tikhonov Free Republic. For as long as that lasted anyways.
For about 5
Ringo
seconds.
Peterson was a periphery mech jockey who won his Urbanmech in a poker game. Leaving Tortuga
That's
in
a hell of a way to get a
3060,
mech.
he
Hell
embarked
yeah.
on a career of madness and banditry. His actions on Randall's Regret, an agricultural world located somewhere between Herotitus and Tortuga, was described as a one-man campaign of terror. Though likely a
No,
very slow
don't give
one.
the Urbanmech a bad
With
name.
loot from the planet secured, he began to upgrade the aging Urbanmech, and in 3071, he somehow pulled off the legendary Hunar bank heist, which is something the Federated
He did a
Sons
bank
are still
heist
trying
in
to
an
figure out.
Urbanmech.
Disappearing
That is,
soon after, Ringo's
that is
name
definitely
alone provokes
way to do
fear
it.
and dread, not only of the man, but of the machine he rode to infamy. Patricia Wellesley was an eccentric, known for collecting teapots.
Kinda wish
and
we could do
possessing
some
a
of that
terrifying
in
knack for
Mercenaries,
urban
but-
warfare tactics. As such,
Because hearing about
she
some
was
of
a
this makes
competent
me
battlefield
wish we
commander
had
in
more
the
of that
urban
sort of
defense
stuff.
forces of the St. Ives Armored Cav, and a notable Urbanmech pilot. Her defense of New Colas against the Federated Sons was so successful and is still taught today as an Academy textbook example of urban defense operations. And her grandson Paul Wellesley followed in her footsteps, becoming on his own a celebrated member of the St. Ives Armored Cavalry and exceeding his grandmother's legendary combat record. And amusingly enough, he did so from the cockpit of his grandmother's Urbanmech.
That was cool to see a Urbanmech family. I'm
The
sorry, was that
Urbanmech has
2
a bad
LRMs
case
on
of
a
imposter
Urbanmech?
syndrome. Though to be fair, it is one derived from and applied by outsiders trying to deride, demean, and ultimately slander the humble machine. Those who detract from the Urbi will dismiss it as nothing more than a crippling battlefield liability barely capable of approaching problems at the speed of smell. And yet, most Urbanmech pilots cannot hear this criticism, for they know it as a mech absolutely capable of killing giants and turning the tide of battle. Die-hard Urbanmech pilots love their machine, as it is to
yes,
them
they do.
the little
And
mech that could, or as they frequently put it,
I've
it's the
slowly
trash
adopted
can,
this thing.
not the trash can't. And so elevated by
Not
the
the
eternal
trash can,
gratitude
that
of
is
its own
crazy.
pilot corps, the humble Urby has become a near-permanent mascot of our profession, representing a can-do attitude in the face of extreme danger. Regardless of what you may think of it, the Urbanmech has a following that transcends the test of time.
Yes,
it is
it
so
does.
popular that it has
And
its own
I am
cocktail
happy to be one of
and
those
its own
pilots that
sport,
go,
the Urby
this
Derby.
mech is the
Yes,
one that we
it
love.
may indeed be a simple battle mech by modern standards, but the Urbanmech is never obsolete, as it is an ever-evolving, ever-growing legend of its own making.
It's an ever-evolving
And while
platform,
not
and
quite
that's
yet
why we
a
love it.
masterpiece, it is a reminder that the humblest of things are indeed quite capable and should never be forgotten.
I love the paint job for this particular Urbanmech. That is so cool.
Class dismissed. Thanks to the artists who answered the call to help get this project
Yes,
done for
thanks
the
to
holidays
the
on a
artists
limited
who
budget,
basically brought
tight
this thing to-
timelines, and under
that the
relative
Hunchback?
secrecy. Thanks
That
to their
is-
multitude of awesome talents in being able to bring the machine to life and to illustrate
I gotta love
it is
some of
more
the
than a
artwork they
joke
did here.
and is, as always, a celebrated meme.
I mean, it might be a meme, but
Lastly, thanks to the audience
it definitely
who
works.
made this possible. And as always, take care of each other. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go officiate our annual Urby Derby.
Shoot, I would have. Shoot, I would have definitely loved to have been there for the Urby Derby there. So I have to say, I absolutely love the way that some of the footage turned out for this one. Like the fact that you had scenes that were almost looked like an Unreal Engine presentation is amazing. And the artwork here, just for the Urbanmechs in general, is just, it's beautiful. Chef's kiss. The research that went into this, amazing. This took months, I would have to imagine. Also, where can I find this cartoon? No, I'm serious. There needs to be a full-fledged cartoon like this. This is so cool. How do you even begin to like set up all of this? Because I'm just astounded by the just level of artistry here. Like the amount of art that went into this is crazy. It wasn't just, oh, we're just gonna talk about the Urbanmech. No, this is a fever dream. This is an absolute fever dream. And I love it. this is really well done, and I want to say they did a really good job with everything about this video. And again, if you want to see the original video, you can go ahead and click the link in the description. Please go support them, because this took so much work to put together. I mean, now you're just flexing at this point. Like, how do you even begin to put together a video like this? Because I can get the writing, the research, and all that. But this is just another level. And like, this takes so much time and talent. It's insane. I am blown away by how good this video was. I'm glad that they have the support that they need to make these videos, because I was just like, I was expecting like a technical breakdown of the Urbanmech. What I got was a complete feature film, complete with history, the various Urbanmech, and how it relates to the bigger inner sphere, which is just inner sphere and outside of that. I am just blown away. This is... And again, thank you to everybody on their team, or their sponsor. I'm losing words here. To the people who went and supported this. They did a great job. This turned out amazing. And again, this is kind of why I'm like, I'm really concerned when it comes to the Black Knight video, because that's going to be an hour and a half. And it's like, I want to do that video justice, because again, they put a lot of time and effort into that. Yeah, the Black Knight.
Here comes the train.
Planes.
God damn it.
Season's greetings from G17. But yeah, that was the Urbanmech director's cut. I absolutely love this. Again, I was kind of expecting like a breakdown of the various Urbanmechs and whatnot, but that was, I think that was more the first video. This is more like a feature-length film. And again, if you want to see it, links in the description. Other than that, this has been Annika, signing out.